What is up, Packers fans, and welcome back to Packer Report TV. I am the publisher of that very website and your host for this show, Ross Uglem, and we are Game Day. It is Game Day in Sao Paulo, Brazil. It's the first time that has ever been said for any NFL team, and this is your Packer Report preview here with myself once again. Let's get it cracking. The QB showdown, Jordan Love versus Jalen Hurts. I would say these two guys are very much considered to be in a similar tier by most people that you would see like ranking quarterbacks. Outside of that top five, we've talked about who that top five is before. But then you get to, what guys think of Dak, what guys think of Jordan Love, what guys think of Purdy even sometimes, what guys think, of course, of Jalen Hurts. But I think a lot of people view these two quarterbacks as like in a similar tier, where if they have a really good season, they could, jump those top five and win an MVP. But, the Jackson, Mahomes, Burrow group with now my brain is blanking on the five that everybody agree on. They're all in the AFC. Herbert and Josh Allen. Those five are sort of viewed in their own tier. And then if you rank Jordan Love 6, I'm not going to scream. If you rank Jalen Hurts 6, I'm not going to scream. They're all in that. These two guys are in that tier that people don't talk about as those same, like with the 5 AFC guys. So very high level quarterback matchup in general was what we're going to get to see tonight on Peacock. They're different though. They're very different quarterbacks. Hurts is without question the more gifted and more physical runner. He is a very, people make a lot of fun of people. When I say people, I mean Bears fans. Bears fans would make a lot of fun of like Jordan Love's body composition last year they compared it to Justin Fields. This is sort of like that. They call Jordan Love Mr. Silly Body. Ain't nothing silly about Jalen Hurts and the way he's put together. That's why the tush push or the brotherly shove works so well. He's an explosive runner, but his lower body is tremendous in its build and just the way that he is an unbelievable athlete. Love, though, has far more arm talent, in my opinion. And I think probably more long-term upside. I certainly would prefer. Now I think that they've both gotten paid because I'm pretty sure Jalen Hurts has gotten paid. I would certainly rather have Love and, Philly. We're going into the game. Philly's the team where Love had his Aaron Rodgers in Dallas moment. Favre goes down. I think it's 2007, I think, was the big. Green Bay was really good that year. And Dallas was really good. It was the Romo, I think it was like the Romo TO Cowboys against the Favre Packers that ended up going all the way to the NFC Championship game. But Favre gets dinged up. Rodgers comes in, almost leads them back. I think that was a moment for the Packers. They run it back. And then the next season, right? No. Yes, I can't remember. The next season's Rodgers' first year. Goodness gracious, yeah, because they have one losing season, then they have the 2009 season that ends up with the Cardinals lost, and then in 10 they win the Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers won the Super Bowl in year 3, not year 2. That's your brief Packers history. It's really early, guys. It's really early in the morning when I'm breaking all this down for you. But Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, goes out against the Eagles. Jordan Love comes in, performs way better than he did against the Kansas City Chiefs, even though he wasn't being prepped to be the starter. And I think that moment probably gave the Packers brass more of what they needed to, move on from Rodgers or at least make it clear to him when he went into the mud house or whatever he did and came out and said, I want to play for the Jets. I think that was probably that Philly performance by Jordan Love had a lot to do with that. When Green Bay has the ball, I think patience is going to be the key. Okay, Vic Fangio came back to run the Philadelphia defense. That's going to be the Joe Barry look, right? Vic Fangio has run this defense immensely better than Joe Barry, but it's going to be a ton of your split safety, your middle of the field open looks, cover 2, cover 4, things of that nature where it's almost an umbrella, right? It's hard to get deep. I mentioned on the 3 Packers to watch that I hope Christian Watson can get deep, but you have to have patience. Those safeties are going to be light boxes. They're going to dare Green Bay to run the ball with Josh Jacobs. and then they're going to ask Blankenship and Gardner Johnson to fill the alleys, come down and hit. But when it is a passing play, those two are going to be in a split safety look, cover 2, cover 4, cover 5, or 2-man, whatever you want to call it. Like, it's going to be difficult to move the ball in a ton of bunches, unless Musgrave can really stretch the seams, unless Jaden Reed, or unless they move Watson inside, which they do successfully quite a bit. That could be a big key to the game. Is Green Bay able to stay patient enough to sustain drives and score on drives? I do think, though, they're going to have a significant advantage at the linebacker position. I think Philly's going to have terrible linebacker play all season long. They don't have Devin White today. Josh Jacobs could be a big deal if they have Tucker Kraft available. I think a lot of the outside zone stuff, split zone stuff, and then split zone boot action, all of the wide zone boot action stuff that they have. You get these linebackers going the wrong way, I think there's going to be a real problem for Philly. Running dead up the middle against Jalen Carter is not maybe my plan. Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. I don't know that I would just run dead up the middle. I don't know that that's going to be a huge part of a successful Green Bay offensive strategy. The Eagles defense was bad last year, and Fangio's Miami defense was bad last year, yet expectations are higher. I think people still have respect for Fangio. I think people are willing to blame some of Miami's defensive shortcomings last year on personnel, and I'll buy that, I guess. If you want to sell that to me, I'll buy that a little bit. I think people have very high opinions on Chauncey, on CGJ. He's spent time with the Eagles before. And I think, as usual, people really liked Philly's draft. And that's gone good and bad. Like, I have a lot of criticisms of the Jordan Davis pick. He's sort of turned out to be just a nose tackle, which means that was, could have been done in like round 4. But the Jalen Carter pick was a home run, right? The Nakobe Dean pick has not been so great, but other picks have been really good. Like, I think by and large, Howie is good, right? And it has done a good job. People like the Quinyon Mitchell pick. People really like the Cooper DeJean pick. You add Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to a defense that I think they feel like they can believe in Blankenship. And then, Darius Slay, he's 33 years old, but you still sort of believe in Darius Slay. Again, like I said, I think the real weakness is at linebacker, potentially at that second edge position, second and third edge position. Brandon Graham not getting any younger. Josh Sweat is a dude. Absolute steal. I think you got him in round 4. Absolute steal by Howie. But Brandon Graham not getting any younger, and I don't like a ton of the other names at the edge position outside of course, Josh Sweat, who is awesome. Again, I think the biggest weakness to exploit is going to be Philly's linebackers. But if you're not exploiting Philly's linebackers, I mean, I'll never forget the way Jeff Okudah was, and Jeff Okudah turned out not very good, but I'll never forget Jeff Okudah was the number 3 pick in the draft and was supposed to fix Detroit's secondary, and Rodgers just went after him. Don't be surprised if Love goes after Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell and is like, hey, Rook, it's time to prove it. You might have a very good long career, but we're not throwing at Darius Slay. We're throwing at you. When Philly has the ball, I think attacking and penetrating is all well and good, and this is a game where Jeff Hafley's defense is going to be exciting, but it's a little bit scary because attacking and penetrating is all well and good unless you're the guy in Barkley's gap or you're the guy in Hurts's gap and you miss. Part of that umbrella defense was, 8 and 12-yard runs when things go bad, not 45. Now, I know how the season ended. I watched Darnell Savage test that theory and miss that tackle in the hole. With that said, I mean, and Andy's talked about this before, Andy Herman, who obviously owns this channel, he's excited for the first 60-yard play the Packers give up, which I get. Like, I was so done with Barry. I was so done with that defense, but it's real. Okay. It's real. The explosives are going to increase against this defense. I think the overall quality of the defense is going to increase tremendously for Green Bay, but the explosives, I think, are going to increase. And that is one thing that worries me with Hurts and Barkley. You come down in the alley. It's not necessarily a zero blitz, but you're one gap and you're coming down. You don't have a ton of help behind you. You rally into the ball, but it's a great play call by the Eagles. And there's one guy in the alley and Hurts runs him over, or Barkley runs him over, or runs around him, or whatever. That, I think, has to be corralled. This one gap, we attack. Hurts and Barkley scare me a little bit to attack. Even as good as Philly's top two receivers are, I normally say that this is a passing league, containing Barkley and containing Hurts is going to be probably where Green Bay wins and loses the game, not necessarily with Devonta Smith and AJ Brown and Dallas Goedert. If they're able to do that, how do they cover? Right? How do you match up with those three? Because as I've mentioned, the Eagles are a little bit thin, and not a lot thin because you still have three real options. Dallas Goedert's a really good football player. Devonta Smith and AJ Brown are borderline stars in this league. I mean, AJ Brown is a star. Devonta Smith, I think, is well on his way. So how do you cover and how do you generate pass rush? What I mean by generating pass rush, I talked about in the three Packers to watch how Philly has, kind of completely reconfigured what they're doing on the interior of their offensive line, but they're not reconfiguring anything at tackle. You've got Vaitai, you've got Lane Johnson. That's as good as it gets, man, at left tackle, right tackle in this league. I'm not saying that's the best left tackle in the league and the best right tackle in the league. I'm telling you, it's right there with Decker and Sewell. It's right there with Darisaw and O'Neal as just the top as just the top tandem that the National Football League has to offer at that position. So do Gary, Smith, Van Ness have a big night? I don't know. Clark has to have a big night. Wyatt has to have a big night, and they have to get home when they blitz. I think that's very important. Okay, what a test for Jeff Hafley on the first week of the season. What a way to look at this new look Packers defense is by taking on a capable quarterback with big time weapons and good tackles in the Philadelphia Eagles. Bottom line, I'm taking the Packers. Jordan Love ends up being just a little bit better than Jalen Hurts in this moment. And Jeff Hafley's defense comes up with a big stop at the end. I am going 27-24 Pack. Guys, thanks so much for watching or listening. If you are on the podcast side, you can follow me. I am at Ross Uglem on X. You can follow us at Packer Report 66. Other than that, do everything you're supposed to do right here on the Pack a Day Podcast YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, click the bell, get the notifications so that you can get every ounce of Packers content that you require on a daily basis. Have a great game day, Packers fans, and go Pack Go.